Hey guys, Ray from Lovey RV. So I'm finally back with my third video on the Bluetti AC200MAX portable power station review. In the spring I produced a couple videos. One was sort of an intro and went through all the features. And then in a second one we did some really in-depth testing and demos of the charging and discharging. And at the time I promised you I'd be back with a part 3 video, which basically is going to be my personal likes and dislikes after a few weeks of the real world camping and using it for boondocking off grid. So I did use it for about a month, but unfortunately I ran into a problem with it. My review sample unit, actually the display quit on. So I've been out here in the rainforest of Vancouver Island doing some tests with the Bluetti AC200MAX. Done 2 videos on it so far, and this was kind of the real world tests I've been doing. So you can see we're tucked into the forest there, and I have my solar panels out where it can get some sunshine. So what I did is I put my power cord out to the Bluetti AC200MAX power station and then ran out to some solar panels, and that's been working for several days, no problem. And my app is actually showing that it's bringing in a charge. Right now I'm actually fully charged. We got a bit of sunshine earlier today, but I went underneath the tarp here. I kind of set up a table and a tarp and wrapped it to keep everything dry where the power station is. But I went under there to check on things, and I found out the display had kind of frozen, and some of it, the characters had kind of a gobbledygook on them. And now I kind of turned it off and back on, and now I have no display, although it is working through the app. So let me go under there and show you. Okay, so you can see the app is working just fine, and everything's dry under here. The ground's dry, the box is dry, everything was fine. You can see the display is blank. If I touch it, it comes on a little bit, and I can hear a slight beep when I do that, and that kind of goes away. Now I've tried turning it on and off. At first the display was frozen, and then when I powered it on and off, disconnected everything, and when it came back on, the display is kind of backlit. I can see a faint backlit to it, but it's totally wiped out. The only way I can control it is through this app here. So I don't know why the display quit. It could be I was using it in very wet weather. I had it kind of in a shelter enclosed when I was using it, because I was using it outside, basically because I had to put my solar panels quite far away from my RV when I was in the trees. Another theory is maybe it was damaged in shipping, which could be when I got the box originally shipped to me, there was quite a big gash in the box. It's double boxed and everything, but it went through both boxes, so that's what Bluetti figured it was. I don't know myself, it could have been the weather, but anyway, I contacted them and they said they would replace it, but it took about a month actually to get the replacement, and I finally have the replacement now, so I can kind of continue on the review and give you my part 3 here. So let's just start with the things I really don't like about it, or some of the cons. Number 1 for me is the slow AC charging level. Given the size of the battery capacity, it's got a 2048 watt-hour battery in it, and you can expand it. For example, I have the extra 2048 expansion battery, so you're up around 4,000 watt hours, and the charger they have only puts out anywhere between 400 and 500 watts, I find, so that can take quite a bit of time, especially if you're needing to charge with your generator and you have limited generator hours. You can add up to 900 watts of solar to that, but sometimes you're camped under trees, sometimes you don't get sun, so compared to others on the market, such as, say, for instance, the EcoFlow Delta MAX, it you could charge up to 1800 watts, so quite a difference there. The Bluetti, you can get a second charger and charge with both inputs up to 1000 watts, but then you can't plug your solar in. So, and also you kind of have a convoluted mess of wiring and charging cables. So that's a big con for me, just because sometimes I like to dry camp and I'm under trees and stuff like that. So I count on my generator to recharge things. Also, to do with the AC charging, the AC charger is not built into the unit, whereas some of the power boxes, everything is built in, and all you have is a power cord. You don't have a big kind of brick, they call it. That's a AC charger, so just a little inconvenient there. Another one is the weight of the main unit is over 60 pounds. I think it's about 62 pounds, which is a fairly hefty weight to move around. Especially if you're in an RV and you need to pull it out and use it outside or on the picnic table or something, or in and out of the car. It's a pretty hefty weight unless you're a young guy or something like that. It does have two handles, so you can have a helper, but it's heavier than other ones on the market. And I'm definitely not a fan of the touch screen. It's kind of, I find it always quite dim. It's fine inside, if you're inside the house or the RV, but anytime you use it in bright light, you can barely see it. And you have to touch the screen to turn things on. The saving grace for this model is it does have a Bluetooth app. So even when the screen went out on me, I was still able to use the box and do all the functions through the Bluetooth app. So that's basically my main dislikes for me personally. Let's go through some of the things I like about it. The hardware is really nicely built, I find, and all the cables and plugins and stuff look really nice. So good quality as far as that goes. The inverter in there, the AC power inverter, is 2200 watts with a 4800 watt surge, and I found it was excellent. It ran all my appliances and everything perfectly. So I really think they have a really good inverter in there. A big one is it powered by lithium iron oxide phosphate batteries. So it's a really safe battery chemistry. It lasts a really long time. I think it's 3,500 charge cycles it's rated for before it drops down to 80% of their capacity. There's other ones, like I mentioned, the EcoFlow before. It may charge faster, but it's using a different chemistry that only is rated for 800 charge cycles, and the chemistry is not quite as safe. Like these lithium iron are very, very safe chemistry. So, it's I wouldn't worry about this one at all. Whereas if I was using the other type of chemistry, I'd want to make sure it was a very high quality box with a lot of safety things built into it. Another thing I like is they have a 30 amp DC output. A lot of the boxes max out at about 10 amps, but with a 30 amp you can do a lot more things like plug compressors, tire compressors and things like that, or even run some of your RV things like water pumps and stuff off it. And like I mentioned before, it has a Bluetooth app, which is pretty good. It's a pretty slick app. Also, through that app, you can update the firmware. So unlike previous versions of this model, you can update it through the app and download firmware so they can easily fix bugs or maybe add new features. It has 900 watts solar input, which is pretty decent, and it can handle up to 150 volt input from your solar panels. So quite a good probably MPPT controller in there. Has the RV outlet, the kind of 30 amp outlet, so you can just plug your 30 amp cord in, which you could always use an adapter, but it just is one little bit of convenience. And finally, it's expandable, so you can add different expandable battery packs to this and get up to an amazing 8,192 watt hours. So you can really expand your power storing capacity with this unit. But basically, as a final conclusion for this, it looks really good, I'd say, for a home backup unit or an off-grid kind of cabin unit where you're going to bring it in and it's going to be used inside mostly. I don't think it's as good for RV boondocking, especially for people like me that do a lot of kind of camping in cloudy conditions and forested conditions. It just doesn't have a fast enough recharge through my gas generator that I would like. So there you go. That's my likes and dislikes for it. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comment section below. Till next time, Ray from LoveYourRV.com. Cheers, everyone.